question. It's quite a long question, so I'm not really going to go into it here, or I'm not going to read everything, but it revolves around the person is feeling that he or she can't connect to God because you are in the middle of a spiritual drought. And sometimes it feels like it's really close, but then something pulls away. And then at this moment, I feel like there's something missing deeply in myself that I'm not able to see right now. Almost everything in my life is going perfectly, and it was for a long time, until I had a bad breakup about 5 months ago. And just this simple idea of thinking that I will never be happy with anyone else has taken away from every aspect of my daily life, leading me to a cycle of overwhelming, irrational, and negative thoughts. Deep down, I know that only I can truly make myself happy, along with establishing a strong relationship with someone greater than myself, in which everything else will fall into place. But right now, it feels like the negative pull just keeps getting stronger the more I try to fight it, and every time I lose the fight, I lose more respect for myself. At the end of the day, I know I don't want this person back. I just want to remember how to be happy by myself and lose the strong sense of identity I placed into someone else. Sorry for the long question. Your work has taught me so much. Any feedback is appreciated. So, the first thing I want to comment on is this. And just this simple idea of thinking that I will never be happy with anyone else. This is very important because, as I've explained in many of my videos, we have traumas, and we have experienced traumas in this lifetime and in past lifetimes. So what this person experienced with a breakup was a trauma. And in traumatic situations, we create what I call these subconscious selves. I explain this in a number of my videos, including some of my breakthroughs. You can easily find them on my playlist. So you experience a trauma, it's overwhelming to you. In order to deal with it, you create this subconscious self. And the subconscious self is based on a decision. And some of these selves have a greater influence on you than others. And especially a self like this, because what I realized right away when I read this question was, I will never be happy with anyone else. Never. The word never. It's almost like a curse you're putting on yourself. I don't actually believe in curses, but just to use a popular expression. Because when you have this self, how could you ever be happy again? Because like I've said, you can see the universe as a cosmic mirror. And what you get back from the universe is what you're projecting out. So what are you projecting into the cosmic mirror here? I never want to be happy again. That's essentially what you're saying. You're projecting this constantly with your subconscious mind, projecting this into the universe. And in a sense, this subconscious self wants you to be unhappy. And that's why you're feeling this, the more I try to fight it, it just keeps getting stronger. Because you're a house divided against yourself. You want to be happy, and you're looking at your outer situation saying, there's really no reason I shouldn't be happy. But subconsciously you're saying, I don't want to be happy. And the only way you're going to be free of this is that you use these teachings and tools I've given to uncover this subconscious self, really come to see the decision and how it limits you, really see that it's a complete illusion, and then you have to let the self die. You're thinking that there's an outer solution, or if you found the right partner, as you're talking about here. But this is not going to do it, because it's not going to remove the self. You could find another partner and you wouldn't be happy with that partner. And you are essentially putting a very heavy burden on anybody you would be in a relationship with, because they're in an impossible situation. They could never make you happy as long as you're projecting, I want to be unhappy. So you have to find out why you created this self. And this has something to do with how you look at relationships. Because the person is saying here, I don't want this person back. I just want to remember how to be happy by myself and lose the strong sense I placed in someone else. And then that's right. You need to come to a point where you can be happy in yourself. But then before that, the person also says, deep down, I know that only I can truly make myself happy, along with establishing a strong relationship with someone greater than myself, in which everything else will fall into place. But are you thinking that there's some person you will meet and then happily ever after? Because as long as you have your psychology, as long as you have your current psychology, you will attract to your partner that resonates somewhat with that psychology. How is it going to be happily ever after? How is everything going to fall into place? Someone greater than myself. Well, who is the someone that's greater than yourself? It's not another human being, it's your I am presence. In the end, how to be happy by myself and lose the strong sense of identity I placed into someone else. You can only do that by connecting to your I am presence and realizing you don't need another human being in order to be whole in yourself. Because the only thing that's going to make you whole is your I am presence. Oneness, first connection with it, and then a sense of oneness with it. So, since you are asking this question of me, who's have spiritual teachings, look at those spiritual teachings, make use of them, and focus on all of your attention for a while on establishing a greater connection with your I am presence. I have a book, incidentally, called Connecting with Your Spiritual Teachers that also talk about connecting with your I am presence. So you might want to check that out. It's only an ebook. Because that's really only what is going to get you out of this. Because why did you decide I can never be happy with anybody else when you had the breakup? Because you are placing too much importance on your relationship with other people. And therefore you felt like you lost something and you could never be happy again. But you can never lose your I am presence. You can lose connection to it, but you can't lose your I am presence. And it's really only by establishing that you go back to it. I mean, I know it's not easy. I know it's a process. It's going to take you a while, but I also know it can be done. And many, many people in the world, including many spiritual people, are really, they have this attitude that they can only be whole by being with someone else. And it always sets you up for potential problems because you can't live up to your own expectations of how it should be in a relationship, and the other person can't live up to it. You're essentially putting both yourself and your partner in an impossible situation. It's much better to look at the psychology, resolve that, because then you can have a higher relationship. I'm not thereby saying that you can't find a higher relationship, but what I'm saying is that the partner you're talking about that you broke up with, when you met that partner, your psychology was at a certain state. Your awareness was at a certain level. And you attracted a partner that resonated with that. If you don't do anything to resolve that psychology, you will attract another partner that also is at that level. So how is that going to be a person greater than yourself where everything is going to fall into place? But if you resolve the psychology, you will attract to you a partner at a higher level of consciousness where you can have a better relationship. That's just simply a law that like attracts like, in a sense, that your level of consciousness determines the level of consciousness of the person you attract. And so do everything you can to raise your level of consciousness. If you need to, go and talk to some therapist that specializes in relationships and really talk through what is your approach to relationships. And then come to that point where you can see why you made that decision. I can never be happy with somebody else, and really get that out of your system. You may find that you have a self that goes into past lives, comes from past lives, that require quite a bit of work to get to uncover it. But once you see it and you can let it die, you are going to, first of all, have the inner contact with your I am presence. So you're not demanding that your partner should make me whole. This is what I see in many spiritual relationships. I've seen many spiritual people. They had worldly relationships. They find the spiritual path. They break up with their partner. Now they attract a spiritual partner and they think now it's going to be happily ever after. But it isn't, because you both have psychology. So the only way to really get around it is to come to a point where you have enough connection with your I am presence that you are not looking at relationships that your partner should complete you and make you whole. Because you are seeking wholeness from the only place it can be found, namely inside, from your I am presence. It's only oneness with your I am presence that's going to make you whole. And when you come to that point where you at least grasp that, and you are striving to increase your connection with your I am presence, then you're not putting this unrealistic burden on your partner, and for that matter on yourself in a relationship, because if you have that attitude, you also feel like you have to live up to this standard of perfection that you are imposing on your partner as well. And that means you can now have a relationship with a different dynamic, where it's much more relaxed and neutral instead of this tense obsessive compulsiveness that you see in many relationships.